this? Hi, welcome back to Plus This with Kathy Deach and friends. I'm very lucky to have friends in this dark, dark time. It's what's really funny is that all the things you hate about LA have kind of been fixed with this coronavirus. Like there's nobody on them streets. I got here in 15 minutes. Nobody looks good. Everyone's a horror. So if you even try like this much, like vanity is out the window. Like no one gives any shits about anything. Excuse my French so early in the show. But so I put on a face and people were like, "Where's she going?" It was actually people saw me, which was fun. We're playing it hella safe. Kurt is here with me, but plenty far away. We've been 6 feet away this entire time. And I do have the effervescent Liz Jenkins with me today. Hi, girl.
Hello.
Hi, there you are. Yes, thank you. I need some more volume. Thanks, Kurt. With just like hair on point.
Oh my gosh, thank you. I got this done. I got my hair done by this amazing stylist. Her name's Coco. She was so cool. And I got it right before the lockdown, well, the self quarantine. And so I've been like, yes, my hair looks beautiful, but I got nowhere to go except run to Trader Joe's.
We're gonna tell all the peoples. We're telling them all. I did not get my hair done right before, and she is a fright. Like I tried to wear her down because I know this is a lot. It's like a lot, and so I like to break it up with hair. But it was so big and crazy, and I was like, "This is gonna be in my eyeballs. I'm gonna be touching my face. I just cannot. We have to follow the rules."
Yeah, that's like people, they can't go to the hair salon, the nail salons are closed, like all of the grooming. Like I followed Tracy Ellis Ross and she was like, she took off her own gels, and I was like, I would not even attempt
We
to
can't
take
even
off
begin to talk about my biscuits, girl. My feet are like a horror show.
Your biscuits are your feet.
Yes. You never heard that? Biscuits are feet? You never heard that? Oh Lord.
But they kind of like little brown biscuits, I guess.
I mean, they're just like loaves right now. They're just loaves, actually. It's not
I
biscuits now.
also, I hate to rub it in, I also got my toes and my nails done right before too. I feel guilty because I got like everything done, just happened to be when everything.
Pretty. I like how shiny they are. What was fun is that even though we are back on the air 4 months later, I did manage to see you since,
Yes, we
yeah,
did.
during the
That was,
break.
you invited me, by the way. Thank you very much.
Listen, it was like a miracle upon miracles that even all like synchronized up. Like I was flying in and like
Yes.
went there right from the airport. Like I don't know who I thought I was, but I, I thought I looked and I was like, oh, there. I absolutely did not allow one photo of me because I did hop off a plane and drove right to the event.
You always look great. But that
No.
WGA event was amazing. And when I got your message, you sent an email and I was like, oh gosh, WGA is having, I forget what the exact title was, but
I
it was like a
can
body.
I can give it to you. I
Yeah, it was
think. I think I
activity.
have it. Um I feel like it was body. They said a body inclusion. Actually, it's on the photo do you have that? Can you tell me, Kurt, what it says
Ah,
on the photo?
the big picture. Yeah. Why writers should insist on more body diversity on screen. Yes, I love the name of it. And as soon as you sent that to me, I was like, I'm there. I don't even go to Hollywood. I don't go to Hollywood for anything.
Oh, look at
When I
that.
got that message,
It
I
was
was there.
great. It was great. And there were about 5 or 6 of us there and so just to give people context who are not in Hollywood, the WGA is the Writers Guild of America. And they're like they invite SAG people, they invite Directors Guild. It's like for the writers, right? So it's hard to get into these panels unless you have like a buddy who's there with you. And I just happened upon a friend who works at the BFA program that I'm in, and she saw me because we were doing our orientation, and she said, my friend, and I want to make sure that I'm saying it right, Andra Whipple, is spearheading this panel, and I feel like you should be there. And I was like, okay. And then Andra emailed me and was like, do you want to bring like a bunch of actresses? And I was like, yeah, I do. And I'll get you the fierce ones. And hence Liz got to come. And it was really eye-opening and quite honestly, maybe the most optimistic I had been in a really long time.
In 10 years, 11. I always forget how long I've lived in LA and I've been pursuing a career, but I think it's been 11 years, and that was the most optimistic night I've had as an actress in this industry in that long. It was also packed. Like I don't go to a lot of like union things, but I know notoriously they're not that packed, unless it's like the actors union and it's like a free something or something screening. But it was completely packed, so that was also just to walk in and it be a room full of people that wanted to know and understand how to better write for diverse bodies. Like I was taken aback by that.
And also where the conversation ended up heading was how to negotiate those conversations with people who are in powerful positions who will fight you. Right. And that was the thing that Jose Molina, who for those of you who don't know, is he's written on The Tick and Agent Carter, and
very comic book like stuff, like a lot of sci-fi action adventure, which was really cool because you don't see body diversity there at all. He was really great,
and he was so like in it to win it. That was like he was probably one of the most passionate people that I was surprised about, and how he. I'm so sorry. Say again.
Was he the only man there?
He was.
Yeah.
He was the only man on the panel. Yeah. He really the way he talked about how he sort of negotiated people that he wanted considered for things, and how he's like, usually it's like an actor I have in mind that I bring in, and then he kind of lets the other person have to say why this isn't working for them, and so then he makes them sort of admit that they have some kind of bias, and then he gets to say, well, isn't that a problem? I thought he was really, really it's an ally that I never would have suspected, and he's obviously heard a lot. He talked a lot about hearing people say things about Latinx culture and people because he doesn't like come across as somebody who would look like what Hollywood thinks that looks like, and people assume he's white, and he was like, he's like, so I know that's how people talk. So they also, talk about people within people amongst themselves too. I mean, I kind of got that sense from him that's what he was sort of leaning towards.
I felt like every single one of them was really kept it real with the other writers. Like you said at the beginning of when you started talking about how they would get pushback from perhaps the network or production, like a writer could write a character that's supposed to be plus size, that's supposed to be, in a wheelchair, that's supposed to be a diverse body, and the producers or the network or somewhere down the line will be like, and just completely write out a writer's vision. And as actors of diverse bodies, it also is very, very helpful to know that, because you'll audition for a character and sometimes you'll see it later on screen and it looks nothing like the way it was written.
It is not the same. How to Get Away with Murder is the one that is the most flooring. Did you go in for that?
No.
The pilot, when it came out, it was...
I was on the show later, but I didn't go out for like a series regular.
Yeah. The one... So you know how she has like the two people who are not students. I'm sorry that I don't know anybody's names. I watched it peripherally. After I don't get things, it's hard for me to watch them. I'm being really honest about my ego.
I kept up with it a lot until the season after I was in it. Then I was like, I'll wait till they call and I'll catch up.
So there are the two people that worked for Annalise. I know that, and they were ones who were not like in school any longer. They were actually lawyers. And the woman, the blonde, the thin blonde woman, I'm forgetting her name and the actress, but that part was written literally for someone who looks like me, like Zoftig. Yeah, and motherly, like Mama Bearish, and she was from Philly. Like it was like hitting all the marks, and
I know blonde gal with the short hair. I mean, she's a brilliant actress, and we're not saying
no,
clearly
it's
it's
not about that. Yeah.
more about the where the change happens and where a diverse body loses a role out because a network was like, no, we don't really want to see the lead be a heavy set person or like I said, a disabled person, which is so upsetting. I didn't know that about How to Get Away with Murder. I will say they were very, very, when I did the show, so great about costuming. I wrote that article about
Yeah.
speaking up for yourself and fittings and auditions, and they were one of the ones that were brilliant with the costuming department. But yeah, I mean, if you went out for that, that's exactly what I'm talking about. Then when you see it, you're like, that's the opposite.
Yeah, you're like, hold up.
Exactly.
Yeah.
How do you know that though she's not motherly or plus size? Yeah.
That is
No,
not Zoftig.
I did have an audition this past year that it said in the character description fat. And I know not everyone identifies with the word fat or is okay with using the word fat to describe themselves. But it gave me so much ammunition for that role, knowing that it was very, I'm just saying that even writing things like that in a descriptor, I haven't seen it yet, so I don't know if they actually cast the fat person.
Right.
But the role, it said in there, and it was a very important part of the character. So
right. Another person who was there that I want to talk about because she is legendary is Josefina Lopez, who wrote Real Women Have Curves and was just another person on fire. I feel like any of us could reach out to her at any time and like ask her about things.
Right. I would say she was the most she was like, I have shit to say about this industry, about how the struggle she had making Real Women Have Curves, which any plus size woman I know relates to Real Women Have Curves. That was like one of the first movies, at least in our generation, but one of the first movies where I was like, oh, hell yes. Yes, this is a movie about a thick girl. And she was brilliant. She was so like personable. I feel like everyone towards the end was okay with us going up and speaking to them, and especially during the Q&A. But she was the most like, come talk to me, which was very nice.
Yeah, and everyone here should know who's watching at home that Liz was the celebrity who was there. When she got up to talk, no, I'm going to talk right over you. When she got up to talk, there was an amazing writer, Marquita Robinson, who worked with her on Blackish. And she literally was like, everyone needs to hire this woman. If you get a chance, hire this woman. And I was like, yes, queen. So you're a rock star in all forms.
Oh, well, thank you. You're a rock star. I have to say, I feel like you are the celebrity. You also are the great unifier. I feel like sometimes in this industry, people aren't necessarily keen to like sharing their come ups or their any sort of, I could see a world where people wouldn't necessarily bring people with them. So I was very, very, very honored that you brought me. And yeah, Marquita is a real one. She has an episode I think coming up. I think I'm allowed to say that.
What's she gonna do? She gonna come for you?
She's brilliant and so sweet, and chatting to her about her writing journey on different shows is like, it's always just so educational because I feel like us actresses, no matter the body size, but specifically our plus size women, when we don't book things, it's heartbreaking on many levels, more so than other actresses, because sometimes you can do a perfect job and it just trickles down to someone saying like, she's plus size.
Yeah.
Obviously I've heard stories of people saying, oh, well, you cannot get a role because of your hair or blah, blah, blah. But being at that panel was like proof, like evidence that that happens. So, but that all these writers showed up and want to change that. So I was very excited
And the
by
best
it.
part, I thought, was that we were showing up, asking questions, making ourselves available to them to help out. Like, what do you have questions about? And literally, I know you were too. We were swamped by people after, not just
Yeah,
on the
Kristen Hahn,
panel.
like,
That
ran
one
up.
lady on the panel, like, crawled over people to get to us.
Kristen Hahn,
Yes.
she directed Dumplin' on Netflix.
Yeah.
She was like, ran up
Yes.
to us so fast, and she was like, I want to bring diversity to everything I do from here on out. And
Yeah.
that was like, again, you can't
And sent the email, girl, and sent the email out. Like, and
really.
emailed us. Yeah, she emailed Fatch. She was amazing.
I
And
love
we
her.
all sent stuff out to her. Lord knows what could possibly happen, but you never know. You just plant those seeds. And
Yeah,
also the amount of people in the audience who came up and were like, can I let you read my script? Can I, you know what I mean? Can I get your feedback? Can we talk more about what the, fat positivity looks like and what kind of
right.
characters you want to play? Have you
How,
found that, yes, have you found that this pilot season, I've not really gone out for much of anything, but in my defense, I've barely been here and now it's Corona. But have you found the scripts being, I got a call from someone, a mutual friend who's she's been a series regular on the show, kind of asking me what she should do about an audition that came her way for a series regular part in a pilot, but it was not cool. So I'm just wondering, like, have you come across anything that you're like, boo?
nothing. I found this pilot season it to be more. I mean, obviously, as a actress of color as well, that's like my 1-2 punch. Like, if it's not offensive about my body, then they're like, "Oh, but you're a black lady and you're a maid," or you know what I mean? Like, there's two layers. So I've actually had more of that this pilot season. But my representation they know better, I think, at this point, and they really, money is a factor always. And also I want to be working, but being on Blackish has spoiled me rotten. And I have a friend who's a writer who's writing, two pilots right now, or he's written two pilots, and they're so good. His name is Adam Lloyd, and they're
Yes.
such good pilots that I truly, when I read other pilots and they're not up to par in terms of how they write for people of color and diverse bodies, I'm like, I'll wait. Like, I'm truly at the place in my career where I'm like, I'll wait for the right role,
That's
which is,
amazing place to be
I
in.
know, I know. It's kind of, I feel very spoiled and very privileged to say that, but I really do, And as for your friend, it's tough because you gotta audition, you gotta make money, you gotta work. So no knocking her if she ended up auditioning for that. But I gotta say, it's a peaceful place to be in, to read really good material and to be on a show that treats me so well, like Blackish, that I just can feel, I know what I deserve,
Yeah.
and I know what is offensive and what I don't need to do anymore.
That's really inspiring. And you know what? I do not have a show like Blackish, but I will tell you, it is still really freeing not to be a
Right,
slave to those decisions anymore.
right,
And like, my life is bigger than any job I would get. And I think also coming to grips with the actual work that I have always wanted to do as an actor, like the love of the acting part, isn't necessarily reflected in the work that you get as a guest star. It's not really reflected in the work you get as a co-star for sure. You know?
no, and you have to, and if we're going back to guest star, any sort of recurring role, you have to play that role. For example, a series regular that you don't feel right playing, you could be playing that for 10 years.
Yeah.
And you can hope and pray that the writers will hear you and you can give them a little pushback. Like, I've definitely been in pilot seasons where, all the actresses band together and we're like, we're not doing it this way. And like, changes were made, but that's literally happened once in the 11 years that I've lived here. So you have to understand that what you're auditioning for, you could book. So if you're auditioning for something that's degrading to you, your race, your body, that could be your life for 10 years. And what the hell does that mean? Or
I agree. Now I know you have to run, but I mean, I don't know where to, but whatever.
for a glass of wine.
In California, uh his budget did not include the presidential what do they call it? Oh my gosh, I'm totally a physical fitness testing test. And it was like, it was so tied into like who you were as a citizen. And you tried to climb that rope and it was horrible. And I have like nightmares about it, running the mile, feeling like you wanted to die. But you said that you really didn't go through that.
I thought I didn't, but a friend on Instagram said that we did have them. I have a terrible memory, by the way, and I also think I blocked it out because it sounds so traumatic. But she said we did have them, and I do vaguely remember ropes and climbing and it being in front of a lot of people, and that's shameful, and I'm sure promotes bullying.
Yes.
And it's just not good for a psyche of honestly any kid, but especially a kid that has, probably a diverse body that doesn't allow them to climb a rope as fast as the next kid. Like what?
Or anyone, like, why is climbing a rope a thing?
No, when will you need to do that? I don't even think firefighters do that. Like that's the only occupation. I'm like, what occupation? Maybe a spy or a detective? Maybe not a spy.
How many spies do we have here in this class?
And the burglars from Home Alone.
That's who it is. If you want a burglar, you have to learn how to do this.
It's a mindless thing that, you're right. It's useless.
Right. Were you weighed in front of other kids that you remember?
I don't remember, but were we weighed in front of other kids in school? I'm asking like my stream because I have this terrible memory. It says in elementary.
And it was horrible. It was horrible. I remember it and it was awful.
Like in gym, they said we were weighed in elementary school.
So we have like a 3-year window in California, guys. I'm like putting this out there as like a call to action to our viewers in California. First of all, did you hear that he also said that 56% of Californians are going to have the virus in 2 months?
Who said that? Newsom?
That's what Newsom said. The numbers are projecting.
Newsom?
Yes. He just went on like a half hour before we went on air and said that. So, as we sit on our duffs, if you wanted to take on a cause, especially if you're a fat woman who has been traumatized, in California, we have 3 years to get into rooms with people and write letters and say, this is our trauma. Like this is not helpful for kids. And It's not. And at the end of the day, it's not. And
no.
Yeah. The end.
I love that. Can you tell, I'll email you after this. I definitely will be writing a letter. Actually, I have a check mark on my Twitter for some reason. And hopefully he'll see it. And maybe we can blow this shit up.
Smell
because
you.
Part of the budget, if that's a waste of money, is all I'm saying. It's
totally and completely. Totally and completely.
So many other things.
I adore you. We have so many other things to happen. Enjoy your wine with your friend. I love seeing you. Maybe one day I will be on the other end of the wine glass.
I would love that.
I know we have to do it one at a time though, so I might be down on the list.
Please, let's have a date.
But we can make it work. I don't know if you are able to hang in for a second and watch a little bit of Alexis at Plus Bklyn. She's really amazing. So, guys, when I was in New York, I got to, right before we went to this WGA event, I was in New York literally the day before with Alexis, and I went and visited her store, Plus Bklyn, which is just dreamy. And I got to sit down and chat with her and enjoy this interview. Hi, guys. It's Kathy in New York. What? This is a Plus This special. You're so lucky. I'm at Plus Bklyn. It's glamour, and we have the owner here.
Hi.
I'm finally meeting her. Tell everybody about yourself.
Hi, my name's Alexis. I am a longtime New Yorker, and I'm the owner of Plus Bklyn. We are a resale and vintage clothing boutique. We've been in existence for about 3 years, 2.5.
It's awesome here. I did have a heart tribute band, and I bought a glitter jumpsuit here. And I wore it to my show. And I've been in love ever since. You have the best staff. Do you know that?
I do know that.
I mean,
I'm pretty confident about that.
Is it Ivy?
Ivy is our full-time business manager here. She's
come see Ivy. She is a dream. I mean, come see Alexis too. But Ivy is
come see Ivy.
Really a dream. I mean,
she is.
You guys, and of course she was a great model for you. Like, she puts together the best looks. There have been several times. Style, yeah, I've wanted to go and like order something immediately after she wore. So, fashion.
Yes.
What is your history with fashion?
Well, I've always been a lover and appreciator of fashion, but I actually didn't work in fashion before owning Plus Bklyn. I worked in tech. And
what?
Yeah, my career history, I worked in like several different big tech companies, and I did like sales management and sales leadership. And I always was very passionate about fashion, and I always was a fat woman who struggled being able to find options that fit. And I remember thinking, like, growing up, I was really lucky that I loved, like, secondhand and thrift clothing, because, like, in my size as a kid, like, the only things that were available when you would go to, like, Macy's or whatever was, like, the Delta Burke collection, which at the time, now that I'm into vintage, I'm like, Delta Burke's so cool.
Yeah.
But back then, it was, like, very matronly for me. And so I, like, totally would make my own clothes, kind of, like, invent a wardrobe that I would, like, thrift and kind of, like, do on my own.
And a lot of men's stuff too, right?
Totally men's.
Yeah, I did that too. I did a lot of men's alterations. And husband's here. Hi, husband.
My husband's here.
He's real cute.
He's dropping off some case.
Maybe I'll drop in a picture of him right here. Sorry, you're gonna be our model today. I'm gonna take a picture with you.
And then I remember when I moved to New York. I moved to New York for college, so quite some time ago. I moved to New York, and I remember thinking, like, my fashion horizons are going to open, because New York, of all places, like, fashion capital of the U.S.
Right, they must take care of everyone here.
Right, and I remember moving here and being, like, pretty shocked at how little there was. There was actually historically a wonderful store. It now sort of exists in the Midwest. It's changed hands a few times, called Redress.
Yes.
Was in New York that I really loved. But that was really the only option. And, over time, I've lived in New York now 17, 18 years almost. There has been some evolution, but not much. And so, as somebody who was like a business person working in tech and blah, 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 I'd always wanted to leave that world and do my own thing and be an entrepreneur and own my own business. And this is kind of where my passions were. And eventually I was like, you know what? Nobody else is doing it. Like, there is nobody who's opening a place where people like me, who's like a 3X, 4X, can find clothes. So, like, fuck it, I'm going to do it.
Oh.
And that was it. So, like, my history in fashion is really nothing other than, like, anybody else.
Just, like, wanting clothes to fit you.
Yeah,
cool.
It was out of my own need. And I was like, I'm going to do it, and I'm going to figure it out along the way.
I love that you did. Guys, this place is so cute. It's the second location because you were in a smaller space.
We upgraded.
They definitely upgraded. I can't wait. I'm going to, like, totally take you around and, like, show you all the things.
We upgraded. We changed our business model.
You did?
Yeah, so we used to only sell new clothes.
Oh, yes.
In the very beginning, we were just selling, like, new dresses by just different designers, and we heavily curated it. And I always wanted to do, I'm most passionate about vintage stuff, like super vintagey plus, because we carry two different kinds of resale items here. We have like vintage, so things that are 30 plus years old, and that's like, like different period pieces, 60s, 70s, 80s, 90s.
Oh God, 90s is actually vintage.
I know.
Oh no.
I have some 90s vintage.
I'm sure it's probably mine. Recycled.
Vintage plus is so hard to find. But anyway, and then there's also like the more modern thrift, which are brands that we all know and love. So that's like Lane Bryant and Eloquy and stuff like that. Universal Standard that we carry. But anyway, so like I was super passionate about vintage, and I just had a hunch. I was like, you know what? Like, maybe I should try dabbling and doing a little bit of this and see how it fares. So I brought in some vintage to the shop, and it like did so well.
Yeah.
And then I was like, I should just do what I'm passionate about. And I said, fuck it. And I stopped selling new stuff, and I only did resale. And it's been really successful for us because it's allowed people to like come to us and trade their clothes in.
Yeah.
So there's like less of a cost barrier for people. We can also sell things at lower price points because they're secondhand.
Yeah. So there's no more new things. It's all consignment now.
I mean, we do have new stuff in the sense that we buy a lot of things that people don't return. They're way too long. They're like new with tags. So like I would say 50% of our store is new by definition, but we don't buy new from designers really anymore. Every once in a while we do like a pop-up or collab, and then we carry those pieces.
Right.
And if it's something really cool, we'll do it. But
well, that was going to be my next question with Fashion Week just ending here. Do you find yourself wanting to participate in that at all? Are you interested in what's happening, like, on, you know, the runway that is new? You know what's weird, and I'm sure you feel this way too, like, plus size models on a runway is such like an anomaly. Like, it's such like a new frontier that we're making. Like, but I don't know how it's being taken. Like, I follow Foxy Roxy. She's hilarious, Renee Cafaro, and you know, she does a lot of work for Slink, and she like really takes you through like what it's like in that atmosphere. But what I'm realizing is that there are no fat people there. So like, even though there's fat people on runways, there's like no fat people in the crowd that are the people who would be purchasing those things, except for like Renee and like 2 other people. So I was just wondering, like, is that something you pay attention to, or are you like, you know what, I'm about my customer, like I want to take care of the people who walk in the doors?
Well, I think that there's 2 different things. One is just like our general love and appreciation for fashion, and I think when I think about that, like, yes, I personally am very involved for like a myriad of reasons. One is my personal interest. The other is obviously like in the interest of this business and our community and wanting to grow, being involved in like how fashion is evolving to be more inclusive of plus size people. And so for me, I do attend Fashion Week events, but I will only attend inclusive runways. Perfect. Which unfortunately there's really not too
much. So you go to like 3.
Right. So if I get an invite, like I would love to go to a Christian Siriano show.
Christian.
Yeah, exactly.
Wink.
But anyway, so that exists. On the flip side of things, we are actually, you know, we are secondhand, and sustainability, I think, in fashion for me is the future of where I see fashion going, and I think we don't see a lot of that in like modern fashion that exists today that's doing like the runways at Fashion Week. So I think for me there's a kind of a dichotomy in fashion, which is like understanding the trends and all that stuff so that we can carry it and bring it to like our people and the masses, and then there's also just like also wedding that with the fact that I think that sustainability and climate change and all of these things that drive what we're passionate about and we're trying to do here into fashion too. Yeah. And those 2 things aren't always wedded together.
No, I think they're about to be though.
I hope so.
I think, you know, Jane Fonda kind of sets the bar and then everyone follows, right?
Right. Isn't she
really was like, I wore this dress 6 years ago. But I mean, and listen, and this
she said she's buying no new clothing.
She did, not one, and this is the thing. I was talking to someone about this. Like, she has the privilege of doing that.
Yes.
Like, I think it's also kind of funny that there's like a call to do this as soon as like fat girls actually are getting some clothing made for them. Like, it's like, we've been doing the, let me buy men's clothes and altering them. Let me take my grandma's stuff and make it into something cool for a long time.
Well, let me say this. I think that you can still be like woke and sustainable in fashion without having to just, you know, like, I think it is really admirable, but can be looked upon as like an extreme measure to say I'm never buying any new clothing again.
Yeah, you have to be
like,
hella privileged to do that.
Yeah, exactly. Like, there's little steps that you can take in your own life. Like, one is like you can buy new to you clothing that's resale.
Yes.
Like what we do here in many other shops.
My favorite thing
like the Plus Bus or Curve Conscious or Cake, you know, all these like other places that do it too, or Beacon's Closet or Crossroads. Like, there's a lot of us that exist places where you can find that. Or there's also just designers that are making it their like life's effort to make the process of design more sustainable by taking waste out of it, by using recycled fabrics. That makes a huge difference too.
It does. It does. And I think that, you know, when you have the privilege of having high fashion your whole life, like Jane Fonda, she has clothing that is never going to be worn out. Do you know what I mean? Like, we've been dealing in fast fashion for so long as fat women that I think that the fact that we have something that has structure, like, I am so psyched I have stuff in my closet now that like has lasted me 6 years. Do you know what I mean? Because it's actually well-made clothing. Yes. So I do think you're absolutely right. Like, it's not like either or, it's like a combo platter, and just like having that awareness. My favorite thing, I will tell you, is bringing clothes to consignment. I'm kind of mad I didn't like have stuff I could just bring in here, but it's all LA stuff that you wouldn't. I know, but it's also like,
we're just starting to buy for spring though.
You are.
Yeah.
I should have brought stuff. Rats.
So winter is over, basically. I mean, it's not. You can feel it's cold outside,
yes.
but in February, it's like
you start to
done.
collect. So
yeah.
bring your spring stuff down. I'm going to take
summer
you around the store. I already see some like sparkly gems over here that I'm going to be obsessed with.
This is the vintage.
I know I keep trying to get you to come to the West Coast. Will you please come and be in the studio?
I would love to be in the studio.
Excellent. Guys, harass her at Plus Bklyn to come out to LA. But if you're in New York, you have to come here. It's so easy. It's so easy to get here. It's like right off of the stop.
It's right. We're half a block from the L train.
Half a block from the L train.
Yeah.
Was there an elevator? Did I miss it?
At the L train?
Is it accessible?
Yeah. There's an elevator.
It's accessible. All the sizes. Come down. Plus Bklyn. Thank you, Alexis, for having me.
Thank you for coming.
I mean, isn't she a goddamn delight? I love her so much. Alexis is so brilliant. And I know I was like, go to the store. The store is closed, Avi. New York is also on lockdown. But she just had a Facebook Live sale, and I think she does it every Thursday at 7 p.m. and was going to try to keep doing it. I don't know if she'll even up that, but it's at Plus Bklyn. I'm going to share them. They're incredible. I got this dress there. It's a Melissa McCarthy, which is good for me because like I didn't know if Melissa McCarthy was like a brand that I could wear that would like fit my body right because I'm short. But you know, Melissa McCarthy's kind of short too, so. And it has pockets. Anyway, it's very exciting. I was gonna save it for Easter, but I was like, I'm gonna wear it today. So I hope you enjoyed that segment. Now, I've been talking about doing this for a really long time, and the day has finally arrived. And I have to tell you, like, truth be told, I'm a little bit nervous. I've done this work one-on-one with people and groups of two before in a very controlled atmosphere. This is kind of controlled too, I guess, but in a different way. And I keep looking at your Facebook comments, guys, so keep them coming, and thank you for watching. We have a really brave viewer. She's been watching, she told me, since like way back in the day. She stumbled upon us. She's also an actress. You may have seen her in the pilot episode of This Is Us, the very first episode. And we're going to talk about that, and we're going to talk about some stuff that she feels like maybe she could use some growth in. And I'm sure within that, we're all going to grow because she's being really brave right now. So everyone send your love out and meet Wendi de Barros. Hi, Wendi.
Hi.
How are you?
I'm doing good. I'm a little nervous too, I must say.
That's good. That means it matters, right? Isn't that what they tell us? If you're nervous, that means it matters.
Absolutely.
You look so cute. Your hair looks. How's your hair looking so good? Oh my God.
I curled it before I went on the air.
I'm having like a real meltdown about my hair, guys. I'll try not to project that.
Oh, look how cute you look.
I mean,
and I love that your dress is Melissa McCarthy. Oh my God.
I know. She did a good job. This is a good shape for me. I'll have to I think she kind of sticks to the same shape, I'll have to keep looking around for more. She's not, I wouldn't spend that much money usually. And it was consignment, so it worked out, but,
nice.
But definitely Plus Bklyn, and you can get stuff too, if you wanted. So,
very cool.
So we were talking, I'm going to let everybody know, we cheated a little bit, guys. We talked at my house, not at my physical house, on the phone. And, Wendi and I mean, we have very similar journeys, it sounds like. And you think you've done a lot of growth, though, in the last few years.
Yeah, I mean, I feel like a lot of it has just been because when you're hit with such a barrage of negativity, you can't help but start opening your eyes a little bit. And then I was so happy to find your show, too, because I was like, other people think like this. Oh, my gosh, Because what you guys start in 2016?
Yeah.
And that was just, when I started watching that, I went, oh, wow. And it just started opening my eyes little by little. I'm still a little, but yes, absolutely.
What do you think is a thought that you wish would not be so loud? What
a thought that I have that would not be so loud?
Yeah.
Like sometimes I feel like I'm a hypocrite. Like honestly.
And because, and we were talking about it because as an actor, you're sort of asked to do things.
Exactly right. Like you talked about This Is Us. I talk about eating out of the fridge in the middle of the night at a weight loss meeting, and I don't like diet culture. So what does that say? But then again, I'm an actress. I play different parts. So I'm conflicted a lot of times, to be really honest. It's a little bit of a conflict.
It's hard because those problems have been projected upon us as fat women, and those are the paths that a lot of us have taken because diet culture has thrust them upon us. But also there is, a way not to be that. And it would be refreshing if that was something that, Hollywood specifically wouldn't concentrate on, for sure. I mean, you obviously, you created a character and it was based on what you know, right?
Oh, absolutely. And I feel like all the characters I play, I try to, bring some truth, and then also, take a little bit outside of myself. Like if I'm the, school lunch lady who's a little harsh or whatever and heavy set, like, okay, I can like kind of tweak parts of my personality and go into that and not feel like it's me, and hopefully not feel so hypocritical. But then I don't know if that's right. You know what I mean?
Right. Do you feel like you're someone in life? We talked about this a little bit yesterday. Do you feel like in life you see yourself as like the leading lady, not to steal from the movie The Holiday, but do you feel like you're a sidekick in your life, or do you feel like you're the one
The
running
leading
the
lady in
show?
my life.
Yeah.
I think I feel like I'm the leading lady in my life most of the time. I'm sure every once in a while, no, because of the culture that we live in. But yeah, I don't know. I honestly, I don't know for sure that. Yeah, I don't know.
Yeah.
When I really think about it, I'm not sure.
Yeah, and I think that that's kind of the blessing of this time that we have. We get to really like take it in and be like, "Oh, how is my thinking about my body actually changing my trajectory in my life?" Like, in order to, a lot of times the whole purpose of me wanting to do this with people is I want to take people's attention off of their own fat phobia and their own like self-hatred of their bodies. I was just listening to Miriam Margolyes, who I don't know if you know her. She's a genius actress, and I got to do Wicked with her, so I know her personally. And she has this big, documentary series about being obese, and she loves saying, she's saying obese and we're all obese and all this stuff. And she was talking about like how she like really hates it, even though she's 78 years old, she's still hating her body. And to take it off of you personally and kind of put the camera on the world and say, instead of turning it in, like, look at what's out there and how this is built for you to fail, first of all, in changing your body. And also, it is built so that there is a hierarchy that you do not participate at the highest level. Like, there is a privilege to being thin. And I think that if you can turn that off of yourself, like, it's not your fault, right? And like, how do we like change that to it's about other people? And you're right, like, storytelling and what people see fat people do is a big part of reinforcing those things. So I don't know if you got to hear Liz and I talk, but making that decision that I'm not going to do things that make me uncomfortable, or I'm going to ask people to make changes.
Well, here's where I sometimes get at war with it, because obviously you want to play the different parts and you want to make the money, right? Especially since I'm obviously not a recurring regular or anything yet. That's my operative word there.
Yes.
So it's hard to sort of know when to turn things down and when not to. If it's like something that's not going to, like, I don't really feel like I can tell my reps, like, no, I'm not going out for that role. Like, I feel like I have to go on all my auditions.
What do you think would happen if you did? If you had like a really rational, not heated conversation?
I honestly think they would drop me.
Really?
Yeah. Now, my own personal projects I have stood up for and not done things because I didn't like them. And I had a conversation with an acting coach once when she wanted me to constantly play Kathy Bates. I said, just because I look like this doesn't mean I need to be Kathy Bates all the time.
Right.
Especially in an acting class. Can we do different things?
Right.
And I was pretty much told that that's not, that I need to get over that. And I love this person, but I'm not studying with her anymore because of that.
Right.
So, I mean, I'm slightly making changes, but as far as like telling my reps, like, no, I won't go out for that, or I won't go out for that, I feel like I am not in a high enough position of power to do that.
Let me ask,
I just don't.
Let me challenge you with this though,
Yeah.
Wendi. Do you think then, we often forget that when we talk about reps, it's representation, meaning it's an extension of you. And do you think then that means your representation is actually a representative of you if you feel like you can't have that conversation with them?
Well, it's funny because I actually did have it with one of my agents who just left the agency. I said, I want to play more characters. I don't want to be the funny fat girl all the time. So I did speak up to one of them, but he's not at the agency anymore. But
how was that received?
I don't
when
know.
You did?
Partially, probably partially.
Yeah. Did he hear what you were saying?
Yeah, I think he did, actually. I think he did.
Do you think that would make you braver with your other reps?
No.
She's like, they're all hopeless. They're all hopeless cases. Because I will say that in order to be an activist, and I know it seems like you have that heart in there.
Oh, I totally feel like that's why I feel like a hypocrite, because I'm definitely a plus size. I mean, I love series like Dietland and Shrill, and you mentioned Dumpling earlier in your conversation, and I want more parts like that for actresses, especially since we're over half the population.
Yeah.
Like, I totally agree with all of that, but I don't know if like putting my foot down right away is the way to go about it.
Well, but why wouldn't you be the person? Why don't you deserve to be respected in the way that you imagine being respected?
Well, it's not really about that. It's about the fact to me that that Hollywood isn't 100% ready for it yet. And that's just how I feel. I think they're still in their little genres, and I think it's getting so much better, and I'm so grateful that it's getting better. And I will absolutely always stand up for plus size people, including myself. But I also feel like it's just like there's just so many other people that would just jump in my place and do it. So until I get to a certain level, like if you're like kind of a name, I feel like you can say no.
And I would say to you, I think that you would think that, and I know people at higher levels that do not feel that way. Because I think they have played this game the whole time. They've been sort of negotiating the game. So all of a sudden, when do you decide you're not going to play the game? I don't know. I mean, I've slowly had a little trickle effect in my career a little bit. I was at a SAG, does this like summer conservatory every summer. And they had a casting director panel. And they asked if people wanted to, ask questions. And I stood up and I said, I want to know, when plus size girls will be able to play regular roles. And it was kind of shuffled over. They said, you people, you worry about who's in the room with you. You should be worrying about your acting. So I kind of felt like, oh, man, that got shut down. So because so basically they like made it all your fault that you are actually pointing out something that is a true thing. That's when I also think that getting the evidence of this under our belts, like as people who are at the front lines trying to fight this, like we have to take in information and be ready to give it to people. At that WGA event that we went to, Liz and I both got up and another one of my fat friends, and we got to tell them, like, these are the numbers. We're not just half the population. We are 68% of the American female population is a size 14 or above. An average person is a size 16 to 18, and she's 5'3". That is literally me. I'm off by an inch. So when you are seen less than 2% of the time, which is also a number that it's not coming out of nowhere. Like the Annenberg Institute has studied this, just like we believe everything they say about women and the lack of women in film. They have also said that this is how much American women are shown who are plus size, less than 2%. So I feel like to sort of be ready at the go to have those conversations and to sort of drop knowledge on people in a way that they can hear it. I really feel like you can talk to your agents. I want us to like go back and forth on emails and try to find a way, like maybe even role play a little bit. Like what would that conversation be like? Because I think you're right. I think that they have been comfortable putting you in a lane, and I want you to be comfortable being in all the lanes. Yeah.
Well, that's something to consider for sure. I don't know. I mean, honestly, I feel like if I tell my certain reps these things, they're going to say no.
Okay.
I do.
Well, that's something else to like really think about. So there are a couple things I want you to write about this week. And this kind of might go back and sort of point you into a place of maybe like where like the seeds of these things come from, because it's never about your reps, right? It's never about like, this is who I am as an actor. Who you were as an actor was built a really long time ago, right? It was built when somebody laughed really hard at something you did and you were like, I love that feeling, I want that all the time. So and we're going to put these up on the screen too if you're watching at home. We're not going to take the time. I was going to have you do it in real time and take a break, but Kurt, we're not going to take a break. We're just going to show these, okay? He's going to totally like, Kathy, what time is it? But the first one is, what are some of the harshest things you've thought about your body or looks? And I put that in quotes because we don't really even like take in that people are talking about our physical body. We think of our like, oh, her looks are a certain way, as though they're this nebulous like cloud around us that doesn't have actual form. It's like, no, people are talking about your body. And as fat women, I think people do talk about our bodies. And I want you to be honest about the things you think about your body. And
okay.
And you might just want to free write and, let the question, maybe it's, I don't know. Maybe I remember. And then something will happen. Do you know what I mean?
Okay.
Like you might have to
Sure.
free write these a little bit. The second one is, and this one's a big one, at least it was for me. Do you hear the voice of a person of authority from your childhood or even as an adult saying these things to you? And list them. And this list can be long, or it can be that you don't remember. Like Liz was saying, she protected herself and like just doesn't remember things.
So I've always only been plus size for about the last 10 years, maybe. Before I was not plus size as a child.
Interesting.
Yeah. So just any person of authority then?
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah, someone who's sort of like, as in your agents, but not your agents, obviously, but in the last 10 years, like, and that could be your parent. You know what I mean? That could be your bossy brother. And the third thing is write the thing you wished you believed or heard. So like basically the things that you worry about your agent saying, I want you to turn it around and like, what would be the most brilliant thing that they could say? What would be, if you raise your concern to them, and what is the thing you would love to hear from them? Does that make sense? And for people at home, if you want to do this week, it could be just your own thoughts, your own harsh thoughts that you have about yourself. Like Miriam Margolyes saying she looks at her body and she thinks, what a troll. Like it would be like taking that thing around. I look at my body and I think, wow, look at all the things it can do. Sometimes it's, I hate myself so much. It could be I love myself so much. Like what does the opposite?
I don't hate myself.
Yes.
I definitely don't hate myself.
Yeah. But it is interesting that society is making you question, I think, your value. Even though
sure.
you're
in the
confident.
lane of this.
Yes.
In the lane of being an actress.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. Wendi, you're amazing. Everybody, Wendi is going to be, if God willing, in the movie Tom Six, if movies come back. Right? Is that what you said? Tom Six is the movie?
Well, Tom Six is the director.
Oh,
and,
I'm so sorry.
No,
a Tom Six movie.
He did the Human Centipede trilogy, and this movie is called The Onania Club. It's a pretty movie, but that hopefully will come out one of these days.
Yes. Oh, I'm so sorry. I'm so dumb with sci-fi that I was like, oh, Tom Six is the movie.
That's okay.
And you also have a great YouTube channel where you're really funny.
Oh,
and
thank you.
I want people to go find you. So support Wendi. You're going to come back next week, and we're going to maybe touch base a couple times this week, and we'll see how this introspection goes. Does that sound good?
I think it's great. Thank you so much
for being up for this. And thank you, people at Plus This. I can't wait to see your Facebook chatter. And we'll be back again next week. Plus This. See you soon. Plus This.